So welcome back to DecoyNoise, where we're doing more r/am I the antagonist, with today's featured post being, am I the antagonist for telling my heavily pregnant neighbor to shut the F up? So before we get to today's video, I want to make sure you guys are subscribing down below with the notifications on so you can join that Decoy Koi pond, but also make this less about a YouTube channel and more of a friendship where your buddy Decoy gets a text message you twice a day saying, hey look, something happened, it just went down, we gotta talk about it. So let's go ahead and get to the post right now. OP says, the title makes me sound like a horrible person. Please read before you make a definitive judgment. I, a 22-year-old male, live in an indoor apartment building, like the kind you see on Friends. My next-door neighbor is heavily pregnant, and the father of her baby, an off-and-on boyfriend, dumped her a few weeks prior to my making this post. How do I know this? Well, it's just one of the many personal things she has told me. My neighbor, who I'll call Lynn, is always lingering around my apartment and always somehow knows when I'm leaving. Whenever I go to a grocery shop, Lynn manages to catch me on both the exit and return trip and talks my ear off. Whenever I go to my friend's house for a band practice, 5 times a week, but possibly all 7 depending, she is right there in the hallway. She has told me many personal things I have no business knowing and quite frankly don't want to know, such as her rocky childhood, previous boyfriends who have been mean, her recent ex who dumped her, her adult adventures, and so many more other things. I have tried to be friendly and politely remove myself from the situation, but there's a reason that I live alone. I just couldn't anymore. Multiple times I've used the fire escape outside my window just to be left alone. I feel sorry for Lynn, but I don't actually like her. Don't have any interest in hearing her talk whatsoever. Does that make me a jerk? Possibly, but just you wait. Lynn has, multiple times, knocked on my door, asking if she could have some of the meals that I make because she can smell them through the vents. She asks that I stay over with her at night because she's scared to be alone since we live in a horrible part of the city, and then when I try to refuse, cries and whines until I agree. I've gone to the store several times for her. I've somehow ended up at a few ultrasound appointments. I think that's correct, the correct term, and even lended her money for baby supplies. Earlier today, she approached me while I was leaving to check the mail and started to talk about her mom, who doesn't seem like a pleasant lady, but is apparently stable. She ranted and raved for a few minutes before I finally said, I'm paraphrasing here, since I can't remember exactly, can you just shut the F up and leave me alone already? I'm not your husband. As you can expect, she got quite upset and went back to her apartment. I don't know how I should feel about that, but I'm feeling a little guilty. I know that I'm a jerk, but am I the antagonist here? Edit. Everyone who thinks theorizing that I'm the dad of this baby, I'm asexual and haven't had that in 2 years. She was pregnant when she moved in. Also, I accept my judgment. Okay, so in a story that probably shouldn't be taken to Decoy Court, but we still do. We gotta take it to that very serious, super intense music, Decoy Court. And with this particular situation over here, I mean, as someone, my disclaimer is I have had a person like this where they were just not as extreme to this, but someone that whenever you saw them, they wanted to tell you their whole life story, and you could tell that they had a very low level of social interaction. So whenever they just caught your ear for half a second, they just had to unwind all the stuff in their head. Well, did you hear my mom did this, my brother did this, my work did that, and they're just dumping this stuff on you, and it's like, if you have the time, cool, it makes sense for you just to absorb all that information, but for the most part, you just kind of want to live your life. Okay, cool, thanks neighbor, see you later on, and be good friends. But sometimes, especially with situations like this where they're trying to make him her pseudo husband and make him this void in her life, have her fill that because he's too non-confrontational to walk away from it, yeah, it makes sense that he needs to finally put his foot down, albeit he did it a little bit too sternly. It makes sense that when you can't accept someone just spearheading their way into your life and just making it all about them, you have to draw a line between, hey look, you can't just wait for me outside the house, you can't make me spend the night with you, you can't make me go to ultrasound situations, like that's a bit extreme. So yes, I understand why OP would definitely not be the antagonist in this situation, because it's not their responsibility, and also she's bordering on kind of stalking him and kind of, you know, making him feel uncomfortable to where he actually blows up in her face saying, hey, I don't want you to hang out with me anymore. So that would be the Decoy Court. But the Decoy defense. Like, what would it be a situation where they are the antagonist in this situation over here? And this kind of sounds like is there something else going on right now? Is there something else in the background? Did he promise that he was going to do this? Did he say, like, you know, was he says that he's not into her and it's obviously not her baby, but does he engage? Like, is this a situation where he gets out of his mail, she talks to him, tells all this stuff, and then he kind of babbles too? Like, does he dump all his relationship issues? Does he dump his parental experiences on her? Is she going to, like, you know, is she a plumber and comes over and fixes his pipes in his sink? Is she also paying for his Netflix subscription? Like, you know, it's a give and take. Maybe there's a part of the situation where, yes, he went over and paid for some baby supplies, but he's also leeching on her Wi-Fi. Is he also taking her Netflix and Disney Plus account? Is he also, I don't know, with the food situation, does he also use her car when she's not in town? Is there a give and take? Because that could be a situation where he's like, look, I just want to use your Wi-Fi. I just want your Netflix password. I want to use your car, but I don't want to hear any of your BS. Like, is that a thing where he just, like, he's all take and no give? But I mean, decoy defense is all usually a little bit more extreme to that, but I don't want to kind of blast this guy more than he needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and say that even though I can tell Reddit told this guy that he's the antagonist, I'm going to go ahead and say he's not the antagonist. Maybe he could be the antagonist for blowing up a little bit too much, saying shut the F up, but the whole she's a pregnant lady so you can't say anything mean to her, I don't think that makes any sense. And also the whole he's being stalked. Like, if we just reverse the genders in this situation, if this was a young girl and an older guy that was a single dad and he was just constantly waiting for her to pop out of the door and saying, hey, can you go with my son to his I don't know, to get his braces taken off, just come with me. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll go. And now they're going to the market and he's like, hey, look, my son, he's really scared tonight. Can you just come over and just spend the night with us or whatever? Like, this would be an entirely different thing. I don't think anybody on Reddit at all would be saying they're the antagonist, but maybe not. So we'll take a short break right now. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Drop a comment down below in the Decoy Koi pond before we get to the top of controversial comments, because sometimes that changes our mind. So today's top comment is, how do you end up at the ultrasound appointments and lending money to someone who is not your neighbor, but someone you don't even like? The amount of stuff you've done for her, I feel like it wouldn't have gone without reason for her to think that you were actually her friend, dude. And it's not your job to support her, and you're not obligated to keep helping her like you've been, but at least some civility was needed. So I feel a slight you're the antagonist, because you've allowed your boundaries to seriously be left in the dust and now lashed out when it should have never gotten to that point. Could have worded it to that at this point. It was inappropriate and you felt she was relying on you far more than was neighborly. That you don't want to speak to her about all the ins and outs of life. Okay, so I was saying slight the antagonist because he was a little bit too harsh, and I do understand that, where, hey, they thought you guys are friends, they thought you can have a conversation like this because you're going to her ultrasounds. That was too stern, and I get that. But the next reply that got some light bulbs and lightning, saying, so technically, OP's the antagonist here because he told someone to shut the F up, and he could have handled it any one of the 100 different ways that would have been more kind and more effective. His neighbor is clearly very needy and might have him in mind as a surrogate husband / baby daddy, but it is not OP's job at all, and I 100% agree that this woman is out of line. On the other hand, when you bottle up your emotions and never tell anyone no, that's when you come up exploding and then come off terribly. OP should have said no repeatedly from square one. The fact that he was acquiescing her requests over and over makes me think that he never gave her any indication that he didn't want to do those things for her. As soon as he said yes the first time, he made a mistake. This was a door opening to a constant repeating requests and favors. At this point, she might not leave him alone. Who knows? He needs to be steady, firm, to the point, direct, curt, but not rude. If she starts talking, walk away. If she wants him to take her shopping, say he's busy. If he asks, okay, whoa, yeah, okay, so that comment was gonna go forever, and like I usually want to cut these because these videos just would prattle on like that. But with that, it makes sense for someone that knows how to stand up for themselves, someone that knows how to have like healthy boundaries with their neighbors and say, okay, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to show up at your ultrasound. But it sounds like OP here is a person that doesn't know how to say no, doesn't know how to put their foot down. So that's why this boiled over in the more extreme way than it needed to be. So you're judging this guy based on him being, I don't want to say well-adjusted, but someone that knows how to have I don't want to say self-esteem either. It's is someone that knows how to say no. I don't know a better way to say that. And he's obviously not. He's obviously someone that's non-confrontational, that doesn't know how to say they don't want to do something so much where they end up at a baby ultrasound and paying bills for them. Yeah, this is good for them to finally step up for themselves. So I don't really want to shame him for finally being the person that he needs to be. So the next controversial reply is not the antagonist. Her being pregnant is entirely irrelevant. She pushed you too far, although you should have been straight with her months ago and made outrageous demands. Maybe now she will stop bothering you. And this kind of comes down to like a bad breakup where OP doesn't know how to break it off with her, doesn't want to be involved with her, and they're kind of like this surrogate boyfriend, baby daddy, husband, and now he's saying, okay, you know what, the whole taking a hint and maybe I can't show up to this, maybe next time, the whole, you know, tiptoeing on eggshells around her saying, I'm not your boyfriend, we can't do this anymore, was not enough. He actually had to stand up and on the rooftop and shout as loud as he could, I'm not going to date you, leave me the F alone. It's very sad, very harsh, and it's going to make her feelings be hurt. But it needed to be done because we're going to draw the line when he's raising the kid and he's taking him to a little league game because he just doesn't know how to say no. Eventually this was going to happen. It sucks it boiled over this much, but I mean, I see no flaw in the idea of him finally putting his foot down. That's just my personal opinion. So, you know, yes, I'm very heavy-handed on some of these judgments because I have like personal experiences with it. But as I was saying in another video, you know, if you didn't catch the other one, I was talking about how I was thinking about possibly having guests on this channel where it could help the growth, but also give a different opinion. Like the one ridiculous comment I would get a long time ago is like, hey Decoy, you just give us the male perspective on your input, like the millennial male thoughts, and I'm like, yes. I'm a guy, what else could I give? Like, I try to be empathetic for other people's situations, but what other perspective could I give other than my own unless I was lying? So, a good remedy to that would be, should I start having guests? Should I start, you know, scaling through Instagram for people with like, you know, a moderate amount of followers, going on TikTok to see who's over there, and is anybody that wants to be a guest on this channel where we can talk about the same things, relationship drama, ethical and moral issues, and just do the same thing. If you've been around for a while, you used to see that I had guests in person back before the lockdowns, and also I would have Decaf on the channel a lot. Should I do that again, but also just highlighting just women to give us a better perspective and have like kind of a rotating roster of people that want to give their particular backgrounds and their inputs and everything that would just kind of benefit the conversation? Would you like to see me interact with other people on this channel, or do you like the simple fact that I, the Decoy, can just seem to prattle on for 10 to 30 minutes at a time about a single topic? It's kind of something special in itself. So I mean, you know, subscribe down below. Let me know what you want to see more or less of, if you think a guest situation would be beneficial, or you just like hearing my voice, because oftentimes when you have guests on there, they're not going to have the same recording equipment as you. They're not going to have the same, like, you know, camera equipment. So it may or may not be a quality drop off if I have a guest on here. But let me know if that was something that you, the Decoy Koi Pond, want to see guests, or just more of me prattling on. So as always, if you like the channel, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share the video with somebody else, but if nothing else, go ahead and put it on autoplay, or just push that button right over there. That's a video the Google algorithm has scientifically proven that you will enjoy. At what point in time should I cut my hair? Should I just do a man bun? Man bun Decoy coming up soon. Or samurai Decoy, or is that insensitive?